Isabel, of course, we know that Japan for a long time has had a pacifist constitution. What are the implications of this?
Right. Well, this is really a huge and dramatic change for Japan. It's been happening relatively quietly, but it's now kind of burst into the public consciousness. I think even beyond Japan, with this big wrangle over where the money is going to come from. This change in defense policy is actually quite popular with the public. We've seen a dramatic change in public consciousness since the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and amid these growing tensions over Taiwan. I think people in Japan are feeling a lot less safe than they used to. So they're mostly on board with raising defense spending. But when you ask them, if you look at opinion polls, well, do you want a tax hike to pay for it? Most of them clearly say they do not. And that's where the difficulty is emerging. Prime Minister Kishida is saying that he wants to start tax rises, not next year, but the year after, step by step, to start to fund this through taxes. And he's facing quite an open rebellion from within his cabinet and within his party, from people who say that's not a good idea.
Yeah, difficult when they're trying to get that virtuous economic cycle and wage rises to pass through. So they're locked in this last-minute struggle over how to make up for this shortfall. What about bond issuance? Where's the state of debate at the moment?
Right, yes. Bond issuance is something that's certainly what will have to happen in the short term to fund it. And a lot of people in the party are saying, well, let's just borrow money to pay for it in the longer term as well. So you do have this one section of the party and some people in the cabinet who are saying, yes, we don't want to do anything to damage the economy at this point. We've seen tax rises in the past, for example, the sales tax rise, that it has quite seriously hurt the economy. So we don't want to be doing this as we're just trying to struggle to come out of the pandemic hit. We don't want to be adding another burden onto the public. So there's talk about construction bonds. There's talk about using existing taxes. But Kishida is literally kind of looking behind the cushions on the couch to find money for this. He's going to sell a government share in a commercial building in Tokyo. He's finding money from all over the place. And I think that also casts doubt on how sustainable that will be. I mean, he doesn't have infinite numbers of commercial buildings in Tokyo. So those kinds of bits of funding are not always going to be there. So that does raise an element of doubt about how sustainable this change can be.